Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Bloodspawn here. This is my recap video. I went to Monster Mania 22 in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Um, this was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. You guys know I was moving and everything like that, so I didn't get a chance to make the video until now that I got internet back up and running and everything. So Monster Mania, this is a little pamphlet they hand out. Inside they got all the people that are coming, what movies and Q&As are going on, time schedule and where it's going, and things like that. So I always keep one of the pamphlets to put with my binder and pictures. It was like 30, between 30 and 35 guests there. I only needed, I think 18 or 17 or 18 of the people. So some people I didn't get. Got a lot of cool stories. This one probably falls. It was really special because I took my son. This is his first convention that I took him to. Why is this thing pausing? Let me just cut the volume down. So it was really special. A lot of cool things. If you have a kid, I definitely suggest taking them for at least one of the days because you just get, it's like a whole nother different level. Each celebrity is like, talks to them personally and involves them with it, and just was really, really nice. So I got to see that for the first time, and he'll probably be going with me to most of the ones that I go to. So we'll jump right into the stuff I got and any stories I got. This will be a long video, but if you're into in-persons and conventions and stuff, you'll hopefully enjoy it. So first up, the first group of people that we met were from The Walking Dead. There was several people there. One canceled. They actually were filming season 3 Friday night, which is the first night, and she even Lauren Cohan, who plays Maggie on season 2 and season 3, she was filming and she wanted to come to the convention, but her agent actually, I guess, wouldn't let her. I don't know how that worked. Norman Reedus came late because he was filming. But I didn't meet him. I didn't need him. I really needed Lauren Cohan, but she didn't come. But I did get Stephen Ewing, second time meeting him. Emma Bell from season 1, that was awesome. And Jeffrey DeMunn was awesome. And then Madison Lentz, I didn't meet because I've already gotten there, but my son, he wanted to meet her pretty bad, so I did pay for them two to meet. So, all right, so Stephen Ewing, here's a picture of me and my son with Stephen Ewing. And a picture of Stephen Ewing signing my poster. And then the poster itself, same one I've been getting people on. And signed right there. And the quote from the show is, "If bad ideas were an Olympic event, this would take the gold." And then that's his signature right there. So awesome quote. He was really cool, really nice to my son. Each person I explained to him, like, this is his first con, and he didn't meet all the people I met. If he didn't know them or wasn't, an actual fan or even know what movie they were in, I didn't bother with it. But he did meet this one. It was pretty cool. I asked Stephen Ewing. I said, "Hey," I said, "will you admit to me that your favorite part to shoot or scene to shoot so far was the make-out scene with Maggie on season 2?" And he looked at me and laughed, and he said, "Yeah, it was." He's like, "That was pretty awesome." So later on, that's Friday, Saturday, they're doing the Walking Dead Q&A. They're all in there. I stand up and ask them, and I mean, this room is filled. It's like you could probably, there's easily several 200-300 people in here, fans. And I asked them, I was like, as soon as I stood up, because you get called upon, a guy comes up and gives you a mic. And I stood up and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "I'd like to apologize for Steven for throwing him under the bus on this one. But I asked you yesterday when I met you, your favorite film to shoot was the make-out scene with Maggie, and you admitted that it was. I was just wondering what the rest of the panel, what their favorite part scene to film was, whether it was who you were working with, what was going on with the scene, explosions, shit going on, zombies running everywhere, or if it was like the actual scene itself. So as in when you watch it later or fans are watching it, it was just like a devastating, sad or awesome part. So each one went through, but before they got a chance to answer it, Steven's like, so you mean to tell me, like, I don't even get to answer this question? You just asked to throw me under the bus? It was pretty funny. But so next up would be Emma Bell. Here is a picture of me and Emma Bell, and my son and Emma Bell, and her signing my poster. And she was pretty cool to meet, really beautiful lady. She was talking to my son about, I explained to him, first convention, and she was like, oh, me too. So they kind of had that in common, and little by little, I mean, this is his first convention, his first celebrities that he's meeting. So little by little, after this one, he felt a little bit more comfortable with it. You can see it in the pictures. And then I'll explain the one that really, like, broke the mold. But next up, Jeffrey DeMont. Oh, hold on. Skip that. I didn't show Emma Bell's. Let me find where she is on this poster. She signed right beside Stephen Ewing. She signed right there. To David, the world ended. Didn't you get the memo? Emma Bell. That's a quote from season 1. So that's pretty cool. Jeffrey DeMont, I've been wanting him for so long. Just an awesome actor. Yes, he's Dale from The Walking Dead. He was also in Stephen King's The Mist, The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption. I mean, the guy he's a big name, but very underrated. So here's a picture of me and Jeffrey DeMont. A picture of me and my son with Jeffrey. Jeffrey signing my poster. And for him, it was just talking to him, meeting him, my son talking to him, questions he was asked during the Q&As and stuff like that. He's Jeffrey DeMont, the actual person, is pretty much exactly the character Dale. Everything, his wording, his speech, things he'd say would be like lines that Dale would say in The Walking Dead. Like, somebody literally asked him in the Q&A, he's like, do you really think that there could be like civilization in a world full of chaos? And he literally just goes, look at us now, look at the world now and how we are now. Like, we're still pretty civilized people, even with all this crazy stuff going around, the war and the economy and gas prices and all this crazy stuff. And yeah, there's crime and murders and stuff, but it's not like just crazy chaos like it could be. So I just got like that, like he's literally, I think Dale defined Jeffrey DeMont. It wasn't vice versa. I think he didn't have to do much to learn how to play Dale in The Walking Dead. So next up, Madison Lance. Like I said, I didn't meet her. I walked up and explained, hey, I met you a couple months ago. I already got you to sign my poster. But my son, this is his first convention, and he really wanted to meet you, so they met and stuff. But I'll get back to that story real quick. Again, I forgot. Sorry, guys, I've been out of this for so long. It's like starting all over. I'm like a virgin again. I gotta find Jeffrey DeMont's signature. I think he signed up top. Yep. He signed pretty big, so it was pretty cool. I don't know if I can actually, let's try to hold it this way. There's Jeffrey DeMont's. So, to David, when the world went to shit, I didn't let it take me down. Jeffrey DeMont, and he signed it, the character name Dale as well. So, pretty cool. And these are all the quotes are quotes that I personally picked out. I sat there and watched and researched and found cool quotes from each person and then narrowed it down until I had what I wanted them to sign. So back to Madison Lynch. So my son meets her and everything, and they go to take this picture. And as we're walking away, he's like, he wants to see like the picture, for me to pull it up on my camera. So I pulled it up and showed it to him. And as I'm like pulling the camera back and like we're walking to get to the next person, and he like whispers like, "She's so hot," and I like look and I was like, "Did you just say that?" And he was like, "No, I didn't say nothing." I was like, "Yeah, you did. I heard it." And he was like laughing. So it was like the big joke for the whole weekend was like his new obsessions, Madison Lynch. And then we were in the Q&A panels, and he was wanting to ask questions and stuff, and I wanted him to ask, literally stand up. I just thought it would be cool in front of everyone to stand up and ask if Madison Lynch was single. I just thought that would be cool. And the crowd, I know, would have got a kick out of it, but he was too shy to do that one. So that was it for the Walking Dead people. Again, Madison Lynch didn't sign the poster, so nothing to show for her. She's on there already from my last convention. Alright, so the next group of people I met were the Hellraiser. This was the 25th anniversary. There was supposed to be like, I think 8 people from the Hellraiser, but the stepdad didn't show up, and Clive Barker, which was the biggest name here, was way too ill. He couldn't even get a doctor's clearance to come, so it kind of sucked that I missed out on those two, but I did manage to get all the rest of the main characters, so for a brand new poster, this thing looks awesome, and for one convention is already probably one of my favorite pieces. So first up, Ashley Lawrence. Here's a picture. Okay, now the picture is so shitty because she has this thing, and I knew about it ahead of time, I just didn't know how bad it was. But evidently, years ago, she had like a welding accident, like the arc, you know, the little sparks that sometimes fly off, and it went in her eye, and it like burned her, whatever, I don't know. So I knew, like, I had heard stories from other people that she's really bad for photos. You can't take photos of her, or even if you do, like, you can't take flash. So I go up and meet her. She's in my top 3, so the only one left is Heather Langenkamp, Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, because the other one was Danielle Harris. So it was really awesome. I was really excited to meet her, and then it gets down to the part where, you know, I ask about the photographs, and there's none. No photos whatsoever. Flash, no flash. You can't take pictures of her. So, like, you know, I got the story and I understood it, even though I was like, my biggest thing is the pictures of me and with the celebrities, and I couldn't get her, and she was so big for me. So as I go into Doug Bradley's line, which was right beside hers, I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna freaking sneak a picture. Now if you actually I'm gonna show the picture again, and if you actually look at it, and like if you can see her eyes, like I can zoom in and everything and see it, but like her eyes, like everyone else is looking at whoever's talking to her in front of her, but you can see her eyes are over here on me. So I got caught, but evidently she wasn't bad enough, or maybe she didn't know that I took it. I didn't have the flash go off, so it's a really bad picture, but it was at least something. You know, you could see she was right there in front of me. So, but Ashley Lawrence, she signed my Hellraiser poster. Which the poster, I'll show you the poster. It's the classic Hellraiser 1 poster. Here's the poster, and Ashley signed it. Right. David, much love, go to hell. Quote from the movie, Ashley Lawrence. That was cool. Just needed one picture of me and her, and I would have been completely happy. Next up was Doug Bradley. He plays Pinhead in all the Hellraiser movies up until like the last remake one, which was stupid anyway. Here's a picture of Doug Bradley and me, and a picture of my son with Doug Bradley. And Doug Bradley, of course, he's Pinhead, so he's going to sign the biggest and the best right in the middle of the poster. Probably actually too big to show. There's where it starts. He's got an awesome handwriting. He draws like the Pinhead weapons on both sides of his name. It's awesome. And the quote from it is my favorite quote of all the Pinhead quotes. And it goes like this. To David, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering. Doug Bradley. So that was awesome. I've met Doug before. He's a really nice guy, just pretty quiet when you meet him, but when you sit in the Q&As, and they had a Hellraiser Q&A, which was awesome. You know, they tell a lot of cool stories and stuff in these things. And I also got Doug Bradley's book, Behind the Mask of the Horror Actor, and he's signed inside. To David, best wishes, Doug Bradley. So wanted to get that anytime I in persons that have books out, and he was $20. So an autograph, you know, the book alone probably costs that $17. So $3 I paid to get it signed. So. All right, next up from the Hellraiser Peeper is Claire Higgins. She was the mom slash stepmom, I believe it was stepmom in the Hellraiser movies, in the first two. Here's a picture of me and her. A picture of my son and her. And she was really, really nice. She talked to my son, talked to me a bunch, was asking him, you know, like how old he was, had he seen the Hellraiser films, what he thought, stuff like that. Just a really nice lady, really nice. The Q&A, she was wild, drinking. It was just funny as shit. She was probably the best Hellraiser person there by far. Just her personality. She's from like England or something like that. So just a really awesome lady. And then hers on the movie poster is right over here. It's going to be, I can't really get it in there. So there we go. And it says, to David, there's a first time for everything. With love, Claire Higgins. That's awesome. Next up, Nicholas Vince. Nicholas plays the Chatterer with the teeth, just constantly going. Cenobite on the Hellraiser movies. This is my son's favorite Cenobite or character in the Pinhead series, and he literally told him that. This is a picture of me and him. A picture of my son and him. Picture of him signing my poster. And the stories with him, my son asked him a couple questions when we were standing there meeting him, and he was signing the stuff, and he was a really nice guy. Was really flattered that my son, you know, that this is my son's favorite. And basically, my son was like, "You're my favorite Cenobite." And then the cool part was this: we met almost all these people Friday except for like 2, and then Saturday the autographs started at 10 in the morning. It's about 9:30. We're in the elevator going downstairs, grab a quick breakfast or something before we start getting the last autographs and then hitting the question and answer panels and stuff. And so, sure enough, we hit the elevator button, and elevator doors open. There's one person in the elevator, and it's Nicholas Vince, my son's favorite Cenobite from the movie. And he goes, "Hey, Davids!" Like my son was blown away by this. Like all day long, that's what he talked about, was that this guy, you know, his favorite Cenobite, celebrity in some ways, remembered his name. And not only that, but he remembered both our names were David. So it was really, really, really cool moment. And then the best story of the entire convention is we're sitting in the Hellraiser Q&A panels. They got all of them up there except for Ashley Lawrence, because you can't take pictures of her, and there's no control over that when you're sitting up on a stage and there's hundreds of people in chairs in front of you. So my son was wanting to ask a question to his favorite Cenobite in front of everybody and everything. So he keeps raising his hand, and you just basically wait for the guy to, you know, come up to you and pick you out and give you the microphone. And he keeps raising his hand, and they're picking people around him, on the other side of the room, behind him, in front of him, and he just keeps, every time they get ready, he's throwing his hand up real quick, just not getting chosen. And then the guy who's picking the people says, "All right, we're going to take 2 more questions," because they were running out of time. And then the next group of the celebrities would come in for another Q&A that's an hour long. So 2 more people, and the guy literally goes to pick another one, and then all of a sudden Nicholas Vince, Chatterer, my son's favorite Cenobite, literally gets on the mic and says, hold on. Little David over there has been trying to ask a question for a little while, and the crowd literally goes, "Oh," like all at once. That's all you heard was like an "oh," like he remembered my son's name and literally stopped. "No, you're not picking him. You're going to pick this guy so he can ask his question." And my son stood up, and the question was directed right at him. He didn't know that. He could have asked Doug Bradley, Pinhead, the biggest, you know, name of the whole series. And my son asked him why they changed the look from part 1 to part 2. They changed the look of that character a little bit, and he explained why they did it, because in part 2 they wanted him running around and chasing, where in part one he just stood still and the eyes were just like slits, tiny little slits. You could barely see anything. And in the second one, they gave him eyes and stuff, so he would have his basically his full view and peripherals and everything like that, so he could chase around the people and stuff. So it was pretty cool. Anyway, Nicholas Vince. There was no quotes for a couple of these guys. The Cenobites don't really talk. So over here, this will be another kind of hard one to show. Right there. To David, just remember everything is okay until you put the lights out. Nicholas Vince. This is his favorite, Nicholas Vince's favorite saying in the movie series. He doesn't say it, someone else does, but it was his favorite thing. Just remember, everything is okay until you put the lights out. So, pretty cool story. Alright, last one. Simon Bamford. He plays Butterball, Cenobite in the Hellraiser movies. He's a big fat one, sunglasses. He's always like sticking his tongue out and stuff. Surprisingly, he's a little tiny guy. Here's a picture of me and Simon Bamford. Picture of my son and Simon Bamford. And he was a really nice guy. He's another foreign UK guy. And he was talking and stuff like that. And he was telling us about how much makeup he had to go through and stuff to make him as big as he was, and he couldn't see or hear nothing. The director would be shouting out instructions for him, and he's like, all I could hear is, oh, because the makeup was so big. And my son thought it was funny that he said that I look more like the Butterbean character than he does, because he's a pretty big guy, bald head. So my son cracked on me about that for the rest of the weekend. So, and then his signature on the poster is right here. To David, open the box. Simon Bamford. So here's a view of the poster. Pretty awesome. Alright, next up on the meat list, 22 minutes in. Wow. Joey Lauren Adams. Gorgeous woman. Very kind. Very nice. Here's a picture of me and her. And a picture of my son and her, which I'm very jealous of because she looks really hot in that picture. And her Q&A was really awesome because she told a lot of behind-the-scenes stories on movies like Dazed and Confused and Big Daddy. So she told some Adam Sandler stories and a bunch of other ones, man. But the main one was for Chasing Amy. She told some Kevin Smith stories, and evidently they shot like this special edition DVD, and it was basically gonna be, because it never ended up happening, but Kevin Smith and Joey Lauren Adams would sit down and do the commentary as the movie's playing and stuff, and talk about stuff and throw little bits of information in there while the movie's playing, and you could watch and listen to their commentary. So she goes to meet him. He's already there, and they go in, and a guy comes up to her and basically warns her that like he is stoned out of his mind. And I guess this is right when Kevin Smith started smoking. And so she goes up there, and she's like, there's like a room, like it's just foggy as hell with smoke. And they go to how he jumps up, gives her a hug, and they're talking, and she can tell he's like obliterated. And so like he can't like they can't do this commentary without getting high together. So she's like, hesitates for like a second or two, and then she's like, okay. So they blaze up, and they end up blazing up time and time again, catching up, talking about it, and they never actually do the commentary. She said they were there until like 4 or 5 in the morning, talking and smoking, talking some more, telling stories, catching up on, with each other's personal lives. Never actually do the commentary. So behind the scenes stories like that, you'll never hear anywhere else, but if you were there in person. So it was awesome. And then when my son, when he took that picture with her, again, explained to him this is his first convention and stuff. And so he goes to take the picture, and he's kind of like, like edging, like one little half step, getting to like, at what point am I close enough to take this picture? And she was like, "Oh, don't be nervous, don't be scared." And she literally like puts her arm around him and like pulls him into her, and that's why the picture looks the way it does. So, and this is the one I was talking about earlier. After he met her, he was completely like open, asking questions, talking to the people. So thank you to Joy Lauren Adams. You're an awesome, gorgeous lady. And I didn't get any posters signed. I love Mallrats. I love Dazed and Confused. I love Big Daddy. So it was like, you know what? And then I'm looking at like the cast for most of these other ones. Mallrats would have been pretty decent, but I've already missed Jeremy London, Michael Roker, and I think one other person that I could already have on this poster. So I didn't want to start one now and then have to meet these guys or hopefully meet these guys ever again. So I just grabbed a Chasing Amy photo, black and white, off the table. And she signed right there. To David, love, Joy Lauren Adams. So that was awesome. Next up, Kevin Nash. Sweet. This guy, like, we got to him, it was perfect timing. After we got to everybody, he had like maybe 2-3 people in front of him. A lot of the wrestlers, honestly, I don't know what they were there for. You're wrestlers at a horror convention. I didn't really get it. But Saturday, yeah, they had lines, so I think it worked out well for them. But Friday, it was kind of like you just see him and he's just sitting there, like, then one person would randomly walk up and talk to him, maybe get an autograph. So I talked to him. I was telling him, I've been a fan of his since, shit, way back before NWO even existed. And even now, like, my son's a huge fan of yours because, you're still in the wrestling business. He's one of the guys that lasted throughout the years. So here's a picture of me and Kevin Nash. And keep in mind, I'm 6'1", like 270 pounds, and I look tiny next to this guy. So, and then here's a picture of me and my son, which is even better. And when I got him, same thing. I let my son pick it out because he's a bigger fan of Kevin Nash than I am. So my son picked out this 8x10, and my son didn't really realize, like, I'm not going to be around forever, and luckily we have the same name. So when I give him my autograph collection, it's already prepped for him, to David. So this is the photo he picked out. Pretty nice. He was a cool guy. Really, 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 really huge. Again, huge. All right, next up, getting down to the last like 6-7 people. Bradley Gregg. He is in Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it's part 3 or something like that. Most people all know the scene. It's the one, I think it's 3 or 4. They're in the insane asylum. He's one of the first people killed in the movie, and he gets pulled up on the roof, and his veins are like coming out of his arm, going up in the air, and Freddy's up there like a puppeteer, like making him walk towards the edge little by little through his veins until he walks him off the ledge and then cuts the strings, and the guy falls to his death. That's how he dies in the movie. So here's a picture of me and him. A picture of me and my son. Or, I'm sorry, my son and him. And the poster for Freddy. Is right here. Hold on. There we go. Bradley Gregg, welcome to the snake pit. Philip. He picked that one out. I told him I didn't really have a quote for him picked out. So he picked that one out. He was really nice, just not much of a story there. My son thought it was funny because his actual Bradley Gregg's son was with him, and the dude looked just like Shaun White, the professional snowboarder. And my son was wearing his brand new Shaun White sneakers, and he was literally like, I should take them off and go ask him to autograph it. And I was like, nah, you might not want to do that. Next up, Jamie Kennedy was awesome. His Q&A was freaking hilarious, man. But here's a picture of me and him. A picture of me and my son and Jamie Kennedy. And the Q&A was like and Jamie Kennedy is Jamie Kennedy. There's no him acting and then the real Jamie Kennedy. He is just crazy funny. I mean, this guy is talking about people in the audience, and if two black people in a row asked him questions, he was like, like making fun of that. And he's like, all of a sudden, another guy, and he's like, oh, there is three black people in the room. It was funny as shit. He was making fun of the guy that was running around with the handing off the microphone to whoever was asking questions. How like this guy's gonna pass out, and he was like breathing all heavy in the microphone. He was so funny. And then I got him to he signed. He was another one I had a little debate over, but I eventually went with Scream. And he signed it right there to David, Jamie Kennedy. No Sands or nothing. And again, I didn't prep for him. And this will actually be getting another signature on here pretty soon. I just noticed something else I didn't show earlier, so I'll show it now. Jeffrey DeMunn, Dale from The Walking Dead. I also got him to sign the Mist poster. Signed it right there in black Sharpie. So this thing's becoming one of my better pieces also. Alright, and Nancy Allen. I got Jeremy Boss Hog when he went to his convention. I got him to get her on a RoboCop poster for me. So that was cool, and it was funny because we were talking about, like, that's who I want to get, because I'm thinking RoboCop, I'm probably not going to get a chance to meet her, and then boom, the very next convention, here she is. So I wanted to meet her, and I still wanted to get her on something, so I had a poster from another movie she did. So here's a picture of me and Nancy Allen. And my son didn't take any. This is one of the ones he didn't know. Like, he's never seen the RoboCop movies, which I was surprised because I own them on Blu-ray. So he didn't want to take a picture with her or meet her. He talked to her for a little bit. He did talk to her, and what I got her on was the Carrie movie poster, and she signed it right there to David Love Nancy Allen. She played like one of the I think she was a sister, one of the evil sisters, or friend. I think she was sister though. She was really nice to talk to, but her Q&A, she told a lot of different stories about her role in the Carrie movie and some of the other stuff she's done, and of course RoboCop, obviously. Next up is Carl Weathers. This guy was amazing, man, just amazing. Here's a picture of me and him. A picture of my son and him. And again, going back, every person, when we went into his room to get him, he was in his own room because he was pretty, so he's a pretty big name. There was about maybe 26, 27 people in because it was Friday night. It was late. It was like 9 o'clock, and the autographs cut off at 10. So he literally talking to every person. He's in like a Robert Englund. Like, you're not getting away from him and meeting him and getting his autograph without talking to him or him joking about you. He was joking with people. Guy was wearing a Ben Roethlisberger jersey, and he was cracking on the Steelers and stuff like that. And then he was like, "Well, I better stop. I just realized how close I am, because this is Jersey and Philly's like right next door." So it was pretty awesome, man. I go up to him, I meet him, explain the same situation with my son and him, and he asked my son what his favorite movie was, and my son was like kind of thinking real hard, and he answered it. I don't even remember what his answer was, but he was like, "Oh man, you could have said, Rocky or Predator or Happy Gilmore or Little Nicky." And I was like, I looked at my son, I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I think he wanted you to, he meant like, what's your favorite movie that he was in?" And he was like, "Oh no, I was just joking with him and stuff like that." Like, cut it off. So really awesome to meet him. And again, he was another one. He was the most expensive person there, and probably one of the most expensive people that's ever been at Monster Mania. I think like 30, 35 is your limit, and he was actually 40. So I had a little debation on Rocky versus Predator. But again, thinking of who I'm going to be able to eventually, what am I going to be able to meet more people of? Predator movie. You know, yeah, probably not going to get Arnold Schwarzenegger, but there's a lot of other smaller people. And then you have Rocky, who a lot of the people are dead, and then Sylvester Stallone's never going to happen. So went with Predator. So he signed it right there. To David, all the best. Carl Weathers. He did sign kind of big, but you know, it's all right. There's still room to get 2 or 3 other people on. All right. Next up, Tom Savini. Here's a picture of me and him. A picture of my son and him. And not much of a Tom Savini story. I did read in the forums and stuff that this guy is like really bad. He always seems like he's bored, really short with people. Sometimes he's even really ignorant. I didn't actually run into that. I caught him literally, it was like 5 minutes to 10. He was literally throwing like the tarp over his 2 tables and covering his stuff up. And I walk up to him and I was like, hey, you know, do I got time to real quick get you? And I'd seen him earlier in the day, but he didn't have the movie poster that I wanted, so I had to go find it in the vendor room. So I went and got other people, of course, and then I eventually found the poster. And he was like, yeah, sure, you know, and I like, so I didn't really get the chance to talk to him too much, so there's no Tom Savini story, but from what I've heard from the past, he wasn't that way to me, because he could have been like, nah, F you know what I mean, I'm leaving, I'm done, my shit's already covered. But he literally took the time, he took separate pictures with me and my son. He signed my thing. I didn't have a quote for him because he plays a zombie in this movie, smaller character. But I wanted to get him on this because I can get other people on this. This is Land of the Dead. And Tom signed it right there, just signed his name. But that'll work. Alright, next up is Monique Dupree. I was actually just going to go up meet her. I've Facebooked her a couple times, and I was just going to get a picture with her. And, you know, usually to get a picture with just a picture, no autograph, it's $10. But if you get an autograph for like 20 or 30, you get the picture for free. But, you know, in this case, I walked up, and she was $10. So I was like, I'll find something to get her. So we're sitting there talking to her, and she was really, really nice. Talked to her about a few of the movies she's been in, and then you know, I'm looking through the photos, and a lot of her roles are more like an adult horror. There's nudity and stuff like that in it. Here's a picture of me and her, so you know what she looks like. But we got to talking, so we got to talking about that. And then she was actually telling me that she's pregnant in that picture with her 10th kid. 10 kids. Now she's married and everything, unfortunately, but she's had 10 kids, and when, you know, she was talking to my son about Xbox and video games and what's his favorite video game and has he played this game, and explaining the situation at her house, how she has to have like multiple consoles because she's an actual gamer too that likes to play games and stuff. She was talking about Black Ops and stuff like that, so it was really cool. So as she's talking to my son, I'm like, you know, strolling through what I'm going to pick out for her to sign, and I saw this comic book that she has coming out, and she's the actual main character in the comic book. So I was talking to her about that, but what I noticed on the comic book, on this poster, was that face right there. And I was like, that's Tony Todd, that's Candyman. So he's actually in the comic book. So I picked this out, the comic book is right there. The original Gata, or Kata, Cat of Nine Tails. And that's actually her right there in the middle. So, pretty cool, and I figured, hey, this gives me another reason to meet Tony Todd, because I can get him on it, and he's always at conventions. So, Monique Dupree, surprisingly, for $10, ended up being one of the best experiences, because of, I mean, we sat there and talked to her for like 20 minutes. Like, she had nobody there. And I just, like, had to meet her, because I'm a fan of hers, and she's beautiful. So, it ended up being a good story. My son had a good time, because he's talking about Xbox to, you know, sort of a celebrity. So, that was awesome. And the last one for the recap is Kevin Alejandro. He is in True Blood, or was in. He still has little snippets in there. Here's a picture of me and him. A picture of my son and him. And the cool story with him was, got time for him to sign my poster, and I told him, I was like, I didn't prep for you, man. I said, I know a couple of your quotes, but I can't remember them exactly. So I was like, I don't know if you know any off the top of your head that you want to sign it that are cool of mine. So I told him a couple that I'd thought of, but I was like, I just can't remember the exact wording. But he was trying to think of it, and he couldn't remember it either. So he ended up he's like, you know what, I got one, and he just started signing it, and I like that. It doesn't bother me at all. As long as it's a quote from the movie, I don't care. So he writes down, and like he's got really sloppy handwriting. So I'm like, I hope he's gonna tell me what this thing says, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to read it. So he like flips it around so I can see it, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that's good, and I'm like in my mind, I'm like, please tell me what it says. And he's like, he reads it, he tells me what it says, and he's like, this is the last thing I said to Lafayette, which in the show is his boyfriend. And so I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I would have never thought of that, but it's cool. Like, this is basically his last line in the show, until he started bringing him back as a ghost and shit. So anyway, to end this, I will show the True Blood poster that now finally has its second signature on it. And it's right there. And we'll try to remember exactly what it says by reading it. It says, I'm a dead. You're a medium. I can come back whenever you want. Kevin Alejandro. So pretty cool. Like I said, last thing he said to Lafayette before he was killed off. So that's it, guys. 41-minute recap video of an awesome ass convention. If you can get to a convention, get to one. If you got kids, wife, take them, man. It's an experience. They're actually cheap until you start getting autographs. For $25, you can go to a convention, chill there all day long, catch movies, catch Q&A panels. You can stand in line, walk up to the celebrity, shake their hand, say hi to them, tell them you're a big fan, ask them a question if you want, and walk away. Doesn't cost you anything other than the $25 to get the wristband to get you in. If you want a signature with them, then you're going to have to pay. If you want a picture with them, usually you're going to have to pay. But you can sit in the Q&As, you can watch movies, you can walk around in vendor rooms, totally free. You can catch a celebrity in a hallway, in an elevator, out smoking, and then maybe say, hey man, can I take a quick picture with you? Because they do that all the time. So if you can get to a convention, get to one. If you can't, sorry. Try to find somebody like myself who goes to convention, who is willing to, if you give me money, and if you send me an item or give me extra money to buy you an item, if you want a certain thing like a poster size, if you just say, hey, grab me an 8x10 off their table, that doesn't cost any extra. I'm willing to do it. Most of the people that do conventions are very friendly. So that's it, guys. I will leave you with one last picture.